Hello everyone, today we are looking at a big dirty bag by Motorola. This isn't in fact just a dirty bag, in fact this is a filthy bag, and I don't normally keep stuff like this, but this came with the phone many years ago when I bought it, so I thought, well, the phone's in decent condition, it's been kept in this bag, so I'll just keep the bag. This is a classic Motorola Tough Talker bag. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a sizable bag that you used to be able to carry your phone in. Yes, believe it or not, phones were this big. Looking inside, you got somewhere to put your business card, and you got a little hole there for the antenna to poke through. I do actually have antennas for these, but I don't have them here to hand. They're about yay tall. But today we are looking at this. This is a Motorola 5000X. It is part of the Tough Talker range. To give you a quick rundown, Tough Talkers are basically phones like this. I'm going to take this out the bag because it is pretty big. These are all analog, basically. The Tough Talker range was basically available in America and Australia. They did do the same phones, obviously, for TACS, because obviously TACS was in Europe and AMPS was in America or Australia. The European markets didn't have these known as Tough Talkers. They had these by the model. So there was a 4500X, a 4800X, a 5000X, and I think even a 5200X, if I remember correctly. I have one of each. In fact, I've got more than one of each. This is one of the more basic ones, actually. This is just a 5000X. The 4800 has the nice LED display. Not the dot matrix LED display, but like the old dynatacs display. These ones are just segment LED, like the calculator sort of display. This has a serial number QPY. P I think is like what is that, 89, 1990, give or take, without looking it up on my list. I think that's about right. So these were the latter ones, the 4800Xs, which I will also do a video about because I got a few of them. And the 4500Xs as well. The 4500X came out, I think, first, then the 4800X, where they changed the display and they changed some of the keys around. And obviously the 5000X and the 5200X as well. This one's badged up as LCT. To give you an idea of what the 5000X looks like normally, I dug one out, minus obviously the transceiver unit. This one's quite filthy, as you can clearly see. This is for the UK because it's got the green sticker. This is the 5000X. I'm going to take this down because it is quite heavy. This is an original 5000X. It's got exactly the same functions in terms of keypads. It's just that the LCT cellular provider in the UK, they like to jazz up their buttons for some reason. And actually, if you look at, I've got LCT phones elsewhere as well. If you look at, where are they? This phone right up here, actually. That is an LCT 8000M. Got the same logo as that, if you look at that. And they for some reason, they always change their buttons to blue, sort of red and green. No idea why. It would have probably cost them a fair amount of money from Motorola, but they did it anyway. So I guess that was that. This is the original 5000X. You do get branded ones as well with British Telecom and Vodafone, but those are super rare. I do have British Telecom and Vodafone ones badged up as well. I will do a video about them in the near future. They are somewhere in a crate. I have not got around to digging out all these, but I've probably got, must be, I don't know, I would say at least a dozen of these phones. If not, no, probably nearer 15 to be fair. They're like the other transporters that I own. I keep finding some. They are like these ones here. This is a GSM one though. I've probably got nearer 20-25 of these. I thought I had about 15 of them, give or take, but I keep finding them, so I must have at least. the same goes with these. There was a time when I kept buying these, and I obviously ended up with a couple of duplicates, but I've got a lot of variants of these. So some say partner on them, some say Tough Talker, some say just Motorola. Kind of depends on what's what. So, but anyway, you got a volume button. I'm not going to use this one actually. I'm going to use the one we're going to power up, which is this one. This has both units, the battery as well as the transceiver. This obviously only has the battery because I've taken out the transceiver, which slots in there. I'm going to take that apart quickly just to show you guys, if you guys aren't familiar with this kind of thing, with these kinds of phones, because these are quite old. These I think these came out I think 86. Certainly the oldest one I've got of these is going by the serial number is 1986. And I think the 5000X isn't quite as old, but obviously the cord plugs in here like so. You got a power connector there, and you got this great big chunk of a switch. This is just a rubber thing which unlocks this here, and there's a little notch up here which you undo, and then you just slide this sucker out like so. Slide it back in. There you go, like so. And this is the phone. Got a connector, multi-way connector there, and the antenna obviously goes here. And this is the inside of the phone. This is the actual phone itself. So that was my ring tapping on the metal. This one's pretty clean on the inside. This switch here just basically pushes this rubber thing in and out. I don't know if you guys can see that. And obviously that makes this one stick in there. This one has a serial number of Q. So what would that be? 1990, I think, or 91, give or take. Again, like without my list, I'm not gonna. Don't quote me on that. I'm not too sure, but I think it's round about that sort of era. If I can get this sucker back in. And he won't go back in now, he says, strangely. What's going on here? These phones do require a little bit of brute force. For some reason, this guy's not slotting back in, strangely. Not too sure. Oh, there we go. Right. And the battery would slot in here. It's quite a big battery. It's very similar to the these batteries, just actually a bit bigger. I probably could undo that and show you guys. Actually, let me get a screwdriver quickly, and I'll quickly undo that and show you guys. Right, so let's quickly undo this. I will take this back off because it makes the phone that much lighter. And these phones weigh quite a bit, so just makes it a little bit easier to manage. There's two screws up here which you need to undo. Quickly undo these, show you the inside of this. This isn't going to be a full tear down. I don't normally do tear downs on these old phones, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys haven't seen the kind of batteries these old phones take. If we can get into it, just purely because battery technology nowadays is so much more advanced than some of these old phones, just because of the different compounds in the batteries, I guess. So this is the battery to one of these. Oh. You gotta pull quite hard. You get a nice little connector. In essence, it's probably two of these actually, thinking about it. Looking by the size, this is quite a chunky battery. Sealed lead acid battery, 12 volt, 4 ampere hour. So actually, yeah, it's exactly double that, because this is a 12 volt, 2 ampere hour. I would say actually this is probably two of these bundled together somehow. But this does weigh quite a bit. This is probably, I would say, at least 1.5 kilos. I mean, it is lead acid. It's got lead in it. When we all know lead is quite heavy. So, original Motorola part numbers and a whole bunch of warning. Probably shouldn't actually take this out, but it is what it is. And I thought I'd show you guys. So the inside of the phone, just quickly. Don't know if you guys can see that. Got a whole bunch of electronics in there. Where the battery goes, and you got, strangely, don't know if you guys can see that, but you got a little I don't know what this is. This is like nylon, a nylon belt, which basically pulls the connector out, which mates with this connector. So when you slot this guy in, you can actually connect the battery connector up and hold this sucker in place like so. And I'm going to try and do this at an angle so you guys can see. Not easy at all, but these batteries weren't really designed to be removed from this phone. Anyway, that's that. This guy slots in here like so. I'm going to put this guy back on just purely because this hasn't been disturbed ever. I don't think I've ever opened this particular one up. I have opened some of the others. I have the 4500. In fact, I had the 4500 battery replaced at great expense about 12 years ago, because I was still using one of these as a bit of a plaything and to do some pranks about 10-12 years ago, just as they were about to switch. No, actually it's a bit more than that. When did they switch off analog in the UK? Must have been 2001, 2002. So yeah, about 15-16 years ago I had the battery on these replaced. Just before they were going to switch off the analog, I thought it would be a good idea to play some pranks on people with these big phones. So I was walking around with one of these for a couple of days while doing some filming. And obviously that was 15 years ago, and that battery is now no longer serviceable, unfortunately, with lead acid batteries. Once you don't charge them, even these ones actually, once you don't charge them for a while, they just collapse and they won't ever take a charge. But anyway, let's put the transceiver back in there. This is the transceiver I said earlier. Slot this guy right in here like so. Hopefully he'll go in first time, he says. Nope. There we go. Right, and then let's power this guy up. My charger fell down on the floor earlier, which is what that big bang was. Just going to pick that up and plug this guy in. So I'm hoping this works. It did earlier. Standard Motorola connector for these kinds of phones. This is just a cigarette lighter cable, I guess, in a great big, what is it, 6 amp transformer that I bought just to power up some of these old phones. Interestingly though, even the newer GSM phones also have the same connector just up here. As you can clearly see, that slots in like so. So the Motorola never really changed the design of the connector. But anyway, that slots in like so. And I'm hoping this bad boy fires up. That's always a good sign. The Motorola tests. Right. Got an LED there. I do have the antenna, like I said. I just don't have one to hand. But I'm gonna put this back on its side and just show you the handset, because this thing weighs an absolute ton. So this is what the handset looks like. Got a couple of volume buttons up and down there to adjust the ringer. I think actually when you press function, no, maybe not on this one. On some of these, if you press function and then the up and down volume, you can adjust the earpiece. I'm guessing you can only adjust that when you're on a call. This is one of the more basic phones out there. This 5000X equivalent. It don't have a menu as such. It's just got a function key, and then depending on what function you wanted, you would press function 1, function 2, function 3, function 4, 5, 6. I'm not even sure if 7, 8, or 9 are assigned on this, but normally function 5 is lock, because L is normally on the 5 key. I'm not going to do that. It's got a dedicated lock button. Again, I'm not going to press that because I don't know what the unlock code is. But real simple. This recalls the last number, and you got a nice little calculator LED display is what I call these. Segment LED display. I'm guessing that was the last number dialed. Got a no service LED there in use, which I think is green, and a roam one. We're not going to see the roam one because there's no service, obviously. I might be able to get the in use one to come on if I try and place a test call. Interesting to note though, in order to get rid of a number on the display, you just got to press end. The end key doubles up as a clear key. And there's, I'm not too sure how to even store a number on here. There's no store. Normally you would get a recall and a store button. I'm not even sure if that's possible. In fact, this hasn't got any letters, so I'm not even sure if this phone has a phone book as such. It wouldn't surprise me if it didn't. Certainly because even the 4500X has letters on the keys, I think, going by memory, and this just doesn't. So I'm not too sure. And actually, even the original 5000X, it's got white keys, but it's not got any lettering on it whatsoever. So I'm guessing maybe it doesn't have a phone book. I'm not too sure. I don't actually have a manual for this particular one, which is a shame, really. But anyway, so let's just do, I don't know, what can we do? We can do 112, which is an emergency number, obviously. I know this won't have any effect because there's no analog service, but please don't dial any emergency number, whether it's 112, 999 or 911 on any cell phone, unless it is an emergency. I got to stress that because otherwise you're just wasting people's time, and potentially you could endanger someone who does need an ambulance. So I know this isn't obviously going to do anything because it is analog, and I kind of know that. If you don't know your cell phones and your cellular technology, please don't dial 999 or 112 or any other emergency number, because you'd just be wasting people's time. So anyway, I'm going to press send. That obviously comes on, and you get the tone, that the dual frequency tone, nino nino nino, to show you that the call can't be made or can't be placed. In use in LED, obviously on. I'm going to end that because not much point. There's not really anything else I can show you, apart from maybe this phone's own number. So this would be received calls. This would be received calls. So 15,005 minutes. This does look like quite a used phone. I guess this was quite well, very well used. Given the state of the bag, actually, I think going by the address of the seller, this was used as a builder's phone or a builder's merchant phone, because it's got speckles of paint, it's got all sorts of other stuff that I've had to clean off with turpentine, and given the amount of use this has had, it wouldn't surprise me if this was an MD of some corporation or some company that obviously used this quite a lot, because 15,000 minutes back in those days would have been a hell of a lot of airtime to use, and don't forget, airtime back then was quite expensive. So recall pound gives you the phone number. So this was an 0860. What would that be? I think that would have been Cellnet, I think, if I remember correctly, because 0836 in the UK was the original Vodafone prefix or dialing code. I think that's about it. I can't really show you anything else. I don't know the manual to this. I'm not really gonna push function another key in case it locks the phone or anything like that, but simple phones these, no text messaging, just literally a phone to make and receive calls. Nothing else, no GPS, no picture messaging, no internet, just literally placing and receiving calls, and that's what these are good for. Well, not anymore, obviously, because they're analog. This particular one runs on TACS, which obviously later became eTACS or enhanced TACS. Most certainly the 4500 and the 4800s are not eTACS compatible. They are just TACS unless you had them retrofitted or reprogrammed up, I should say. I'm not too sure if this would have been eTACS compatible or not. But anyway, give me a thumbs up if you like the phone or the video. I know this is a rather long video about one of these phones. A lot to talk about in terms of history of some of these older phones. But yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you're still after the Nokia 9300, there is still time to enter. Just tell me how many Nokias you can see in all of my videos up until last week's video when I announced the giveaway. That's basically any Nokia, any Mobile you see in any video, count them up, and then just give me a final number. Give me your YouTube user ID as well, and email me in the usual address for this channel, brickcellphones@gmail.com. and I'll pick the person that comes closest to the real number. I've had all sorts of entries ranging from 7 to over 150. I'm not going to obviously tell you what the right number is currently. I got a couple of people that were sitting there and putting the models into spreadsheets and even emailing me the spreadsheets. Bless them. That's a real good effort. I got to say I was actually blown away by that. So I think you know who you're talking. I think you know who you are, because only a couple of people did that. But great effort, and I will obviously reveal the winner after September the 15th, which is a couple of weeks away, I think, or 3 weeks away. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.